All right, so last year, one of my friends was studying at Oxford in England. He was doing his masters, and he came over from Tanzania, East Africa, and he got granted a scholarship to go study at Oxford University. So during this time, I went over to visit him many times, and I got to go through the university, meet his friends, meet his classmates, go through the colleges. It was an amazing time. But what I learned through this experience the most, that how hard the Oxford students were studying. Now, there's one particular memory I have when I walked into his college. This was in the morning, and we saw an Asian girl studying, East Asian girl, Japanese, Korean, I'm not sure where she was from. But we saw her studying at the desk in her college kind of area, kitchen or where it may have been, her room. And I remember not making anything much out of it. We later went out for the day. I think may have went out, partied a bit, came back, maybe let's say early morning, and we saw this girl still studying at this desk. And I was staying over with my friend for a few days. And every day we'd come down, we'd see this girl sit down and study, and she would study. She would never move from this spot. And it gave me my first understanding of how hard it is for people who go to prestigious universities like Oxford, Cambridge, and the rest. Also over in America, you've got Harvard and a few others, MIT, etc. Now, I think most people know this, that when you go to a university like Cambridge and Oxford, the pace that they make you learn and turn over assignments is maybe double that, maybe 3 times, 4 times that of what you'd expect at maybe normal university. The intensity to learn and the pace they expect you to learn at is to a very high level. And obviously the people who are accepted into these universities are people who are very extremely smart, so obviously it makes sense. But what I learned from rubbing shoulders with people at Oxford, many different type of people actually, it was quite interesting, because when you speak to the Oxford students, you speak to people who had worked really hard to get into the university, and then they'd kind of tell you about the privileged people who would just be going to the universities because they're their family, because of nepotism, because of people they knew, and were kind of just coasting on the fact that they had connections and weren't like really working very hard. A lot of the time I've actually been told by the students how some of the privileged students who got in with, minimal education or just through their family connections, how they weren't intelligent at all. And it was just kind of self-righteousness and snobbery, and the fact, projecting the fact that, they're better than others because of where they came from. It's quite interesting, actually. I actually had an experience where I was rubbing shoulders with a lot of these people in a room. But from me, my friend, and the people in his class, he was doing African studies. And in his class, he had a mixture of students who were kind of like, come from humble beginnings, and some who were very well off and very wealthy. It was very interesting to see the attitudes amongst the different people. But what I would say is, if you're someone who's working really hard at the moment towards a skill or your job, or if it's 2 jobs like I've talked about in my other video, there's a level that people are studying and working to that you might not even understand or comprehend until you've been exposed to it. Sometimes I think I was working hard, but I remember that year being exposed to the Oxford students and my friend, and how much it rubbed off on me, and how much my work rate just went up, my ability to focus in and ignore so many distractions. And this also ties into the fact of having a good friend circle around you. You hear a lot of people in there say the company you keep kind of defines you. I think I saw a statistic recently around, if you're around someone who does X habit, you're 40% more likely to do that. It was quite wild, to be honest. And I think it's true. But I'd never really seen an example or use case of it within my own life until this year, when I look back to where my mindset was last year, being around my friend who was at Oxford, being able to see like the libraries, the architecture, the history of Oxford, the academia, the knowledge, the minds that have gone into that university. I was able to comprehend the levels of intellectualism. And if you're not exposed to things like that, you'd never even know. But I remember coming out of that year, and I remember around that time, I was in a contracted job for around 12 months. And, I wasn't kind of sure where I'd end up afterwards, but I was working so hard, night and day, revising, repeating interview questions and answers. And I remember the end of the year, I got a really great job and everything fell into place perfectly. But I remember how hard I was working because of the people I've been exposed to. So if you're hearing this, maybe take a look at how hard you're working at the moment. Now, this isn't for the faint-hearted because, you know, you can work hard and you can burn out. It is a thing. But if you want to get to your goals, and I've done it a few times where I've just laser focused in and all my energy's gone into achieving the goal, I've been able to achieve it, if not more. And this involves things like getting rid of distractions on my phone, people, just getting rid of everything out until you're laser focused in on your goals. And just continuing every day in and out, the repeat of the same thing over again. Obviously, these people at the university was doing doing masters, they were doing PhDs. You know, these people working for like big pharmaceutical companies. I remember meeting a girl who was doing a master's or PhD in related to cancer, and just you wouldn't understand the levels until you spoke to those people. So yeah, lock in harder, go harder, you know what I mean? Be careful of burnout and give yourself a break. But, you know, see how hard you can push yourself.